So if you could just invite yourself to sink into presence. Invite the body, your mind, to rest. Our true home is this resting. This borderless restfulness. The holy sanctuary. Which welcomes effortlessly welcomes everything. So invite yourself to your inner sanctuary. Which is a place of peace, loving, where there are no issues. Where everything and everyone is recognized as a holy presence. the sacredness of God. This inner sanctuary has no walls, no doors. It's the heart of all things and of all beings. One loving heart, one heartbeat. The sweetness, the light, the love, the loveliness, the sweetness, which is manifested in my recognition of the divine manifestation. That all manifestation has the touch of God, the divine touch. I recognize myself as the heart of all beings, the core reality, the bright light. there is no separation in God's kingdom. There is no reality apart from the one. You never, in fact, leave the intimacy of being. You never actually become anything. The acorn does not become an oak tree because inherent to the acorn is the oak tree, and inherent to the oak tree is the acorn. The acorn never leaves itself to become an oak tree. The oak tree never leaves itself to become the acorn. You never step outside of yourself and step back into yourself. Nothing, in fact, leaves you and returns to you. Whatever appears to you is your creation. You experience your creation moment by moment, in this moment and every moment. And this you that I speak about, the only real you, is not something that you perceive. It's not an object or a form that appears to you. It is the reality which perceives this moment and every moment. That which is the absolute amness. Within you and as you is the complete knowledge. You know yourself by the very fact that you are. By imagining yourself to be a visitor, you leave the sanctuary. And you wander in the streets, overlooking that you are. You choose to identify, take a position that somehow defines you, defines the world. While all along you are the shining light. You are this aware presence. It has no name, no age. It seems that we are traveling far, but we never take a step away from ourselves. Nothing ever stood apart from yourself. But when you imagine yourself to be the body, it's a different matter. The mind complicates things. Because it conceptualizes and divides and classifies. But this multiplicity does not apply to you, does not apply to reality. You remain as you are, as you have ever been, and as you will ever be. The totality of being, the reality of being. So double check in your experience if in fact there is anything apart from you. Not apart from your body, but apart from you. Notice that by the very fact that you perceive this perception, by the very fact that you hear these words, you are not apart from the perception or from the hearing. And in fact, that your body is not limited in the way you imagine it to be. Because if it was, you could not perceive this perception or hear these words. In order to hear these words across time and space, you have to be expanded throughout time and space. Your imaginary body may be limited by your imagination, but your true body is limitless. In the understanding of our infinite body, time and space collapse in the eternity of being, the eternity of presence. And in this collapse, you are freed from the impression of time and space. Hey Frank, you're right. Does the universal body have eternal faculties such as hearing, seeing, as opposed to material, temporal ones? Well, Frank, you hear these words right now. You perceive this perception. The assumption that you are a limited body or that the body is limited does not interfere with hearing and perceiving, but it interferes with your sense of freedom, peace, and happiness. So the faculties of the body, the functioning of the body, is what it is. The belief that the body is a local form is only a facet of the body. So it's like when you are standing by a beach and you're looking at a certain beach, a certain way in which the beach is and how the waves are appearing at that point in space, at that location. The experience that you have of the waves is just a sliver or an aspect of the ocean. It's not the entire ocean. So the local aspect of the body, meaning the particular sensations or perceptions that are particular to the body-mind, which we refer to as Frank, is just one beach, one shore, one seashore. While the ocean is infinite seashores and is not defined by any particular seashore, nor is it defined by all seashores. It's defined by itself. It is self-defined. The material temporal faculties, for example, one could say this particular perception right now is material only because you define it as such. But in the absence of defining it as material, it is what it is. And whatever it is defined by its isness, not by our narrative, but is defined by its isness. And its isness is its reality, or you could say is defined by its reality. But in fact, its isness and its reality are not two. The reality of this perception, the reality of this sensation right now belongs to the one reality. Because within reality, there are no sub-realities. So this material, temporal experience belongs to the one reality, and it does not belong to the one reality like your bank account belongs to you, because in fact it belongs to the bank. But it belongs to you as you. So your experience, moment by moment, is not separate from you. It's always the same intimacy, but your experience does not define you. Like a particular wave formation along a certain shore of the ocean is not separate from the ocean, but does not define the ocean. Because our body does not have a separate reality outside of the universe. You cannot pull our body apart from the universe, outside of the universe. The universe and our body are not two. Of course, conceptually, we have two words. One is body and the other is universe, but these words, they have their source in the one. The source of all words is one. right? So, given that all worlds arise from the one source, then they have that one reality, they belong to that one reality. So body and universe arise from the one, from the one.
Yeah, Magdi, I ask because sometimes one of the fears I have about dying is that there won't be any kind of perception. There won't be any. There'll be no communication. There'll be no hearing, seeing, all those things that we think of that we need to communicate here on this plane. And I know this isn't a separate plane, but it seems to be. So do you think all this stuff just translates back into awareness? All the faculties and all the ways that we sense to connect, that we seem to connect here on this plane of existence. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
well, I mean, what's the big deal about connecting on this plane? I mean, we do when we do, as necessary and as we enjoy to do so. But outside of that, we're okay with deep sleep, aren't we?
True.
We're okay with peace, aren't we?
True.
We're okay with freedom and happiness, right?
Yep.
So in terms of life, we can enjoy life, we can celebrate life, we can play, we enjoy that. That's okay too, but it's the enjoyment. It's the love, it's the happiness, which is celebrated in life, but it's not derived from life, right?
I don't know, but I believe you.
Take a look. Take a look. When you are desiring something, because it's going to bring you happiness, right?
Yeah.
So we say, my happiness is going to be derived from getting that contract. So you work really hard to get the contract, or to get that beautiful car, to buy the new car, the newer models. When you get it, you're happy, right?
Really?
So then the conclusion is my happiness was derived from getting the raise, or getting the job, or getting the contract, or getting the car. That's one aspect of the way of perceiving it. But I would propose, like I did previously on other occasions, that this moment of happiness you're experiencing is because of the end, at that moment, the end of desire, the end of the sense of lack. Are you on board for that?
Yes, I've heard that before, and that seems to make sense. Yes.
But maybe next day or next week or next month, now you want they have the same model, but better color car, better, they have like this golden trim and the lights that, I don't know, they have these beautiful lights that glow better at night, and the sound system is better in the car. So now we're going for round 2, right?
Round 2, you mean like for the next thing, the next fulfill the next desire? Yeah.
That newer model, the newer model.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Especially if your neighbor has it.
Right. Yeah, my Mr. Jones, my neighbor, Mr. Jones. Keeping up with the Jones.
So which brings us to be open to the possibility that, in fact, we do not derive any of the peace and happiness and joy from the world, but from the absence of desire and from the absence of the sense of lack, from the absence of the sense of incompleteness, from the absence of the sense of limitation.
Yeah, that's really freeing when you hear it, just being reminded, because I've heard this before, but now I seem to be taking it in a lot deeper, and it's very freeing to know that it's not, like our happiness is not out there anywhere. It's already there within us. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thanks, Magdi.
So if you have a choice between losing your car, your family, your house, your bank account, between losing all that and losing consciousness, losing awareness, no more consciousness, which would you pick?
Oh, can you say that again, Magdi? Because I blanked out as you were asking it.
If you have a choice between losing the world, the body, and the mind, and losing consciousness, meaning losing awareness, losing being conscious.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, I get that. Wow. That's very freeing too, to think about that. Yikes. Good. Thanks. That's really great. It's worth the price of admission today, Magdi.
One of the difficulties we have is that there is that unexamined belief that we may have that consciousness resides in the body, that consciousness depends on the body. So when we are under this unexamined belief that consciousness arises out of the body, then it's easy for us in falling into the attachment to the body and the fear about losing the body, because if we lose the body, then we're losing consciousness or awareness. So this is important to contemplate, to examine on what basis, on what basis do I believe and do I feel that consciousness is arising out of a body or out of the world or out of the brain?
Hey, Magdi, I heard somebody call the brain the other day the most arrogant 8 pounds that ever lived. The most. It thinks it runs the world.
Poor brain, which is like just this gray matter, this very important gray matter for the body. It's getting a lot of beating, you know what I mean, Frank?
Yes.
And it's probably it's being given too much credit.
Yeah, I know. It's become the scapegoat of the body.
Yes. In fact, all the credit, as a way of speaking, goes to consciousness, awareness, that which does not come and go, whatever it is that is real. A brain, my goodness, if you somehow a big rock falls on the head and the brain, suddenly that great brain becomes not so great, right?
Yeah.
But consciousness, awareness, can you throw a rock at it?
No, it can't be touched.
Can be touched. And that's not a theory, that's from our direct experience. Our direct experience meaning in this moment there is awareness. Of course, there is also a table, there is a body, there is sunshine. But that which perceives, Reality that perceives is awareness. You can close the window and close the shutters, and the sunshine is blocked by the shades. But can you close the curtains on awareness?
Doesn't seem to be, likable. I mean, whatever the word is, doesn't seem to be a reality.
Right. I mean, you could take the body and, I don't know, throw it off a cliff. But can you take awareness, consciousness, and throw it off a cliff?
Really?
No. No, you cannot.
Because then it doesn't abide in anything. It's not inside anything. It's not inside a cranium or skull or. Yeah.
There is no evidence whatsoever, zero evidence that consciousness is inside the brain or in the eyes or in the lungs or in the heart or in whatever. I mean, there's zero evidence for that. And we don't have any such experience. Besides evidence, scientific evidence is absolutely absent. We've never experienced awareness inside a room, or awareness inside a brain, or inside whatever, inside anything.
Yeah, that becomes clear to me when I meditate, with you and everything. And the minute I close my eyes, I realize there's something inside of me trying to figure out where to look, where it doesn't seem to know where it's looking from, but it still wants to look. Like it's so bizarre. But that's when it's real. When you have a little bit of background on this, oh, there really is no location to be had.
Right. I mean, you could perceive a thought or a sensation, the sensation of your feet on the ground, but you cannot perceive or locate that which perceives. So there is an assumption, that which perceives is behind my eyes. What? Yeah, it feels like it's behind my eyes. Okay, well, interesting. A feeling is appearing that says reality is behind my eyes. Okay, so do you think that a feeling knows something?
All right, thanks, Magdi. Great. Wow, this has been so great to talk to you like this. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, a feeling, it appears to you, you know it because you perceive it. But it doesn't know doo-doo, it doesn't know shit, excuse my language, it doesn't know it's a trickster. So in terms of death, first, one could say that death is not an experience. Who has ever experienced death? Let them come and speak to us. Oh, well, I've had a near-death experience. Okay, fine, you had an NDE. Yeah, and I went and I came back, and okay, very good. That's interesting. I mean, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about who has experienced death. There's no experience of death. On the other hand, every moment is birth and death. Every moment is a fresh new moment, arising and dissolving. And you just take a look at that and realize it's true. It's true. I mean, where is the thought that I had 2 seconds ago? Or what is the sound that I heard a second ago? Boom, it's, yes, I heard it, yes, it's gone. I can't even say that I heard it for a second, because it isn't a fast enough clock or chronometer, right? Chronometer. There isn't a chronometer that's so quick that it can catch the appearance and disappearance of this sound. There isn't, because our experience, in fact, doesn't occur in time. It's consciousness does not appear in time. So in terms of life and death, we could say, why not? We could say, okay, well, if we define life as something beginning and death as something ending, it depends how we define it. But let's say that we say, okay, life means a fresh new beginning. It was not there before, nothing was there before. Boom, suddenly there is creation, and death is the ending of that creation. If we define death as that, then we're experiencing life and death all the time. Then life and death, it's all life and death are joined. Life and death are joined in our actual experience, if we define life and death the way I just spoke about it. Now, if we define death at my death, then the question is, what do you mean by I? What do you mean by I? You have to say. Now, what do you mean by I, Frank, when you say my death? What do you mean by I?
I guess I'm talking about the body-mind for sure. It's not, I was saying I for awareness. There's no death in awareness.
Yes. Now, okay, so if you take a look at the body-mind, I mean, the body-mind is in constant flux. If you look at the body is not separate from the universe. Would you agree?
No, yeah, I would agree that there's no separation from what I can tell.
The body and the universe, radiation, the atoms, the molecules, the gravity, whatever, the body and the universe are not apart.
Yeah, even on a material level, we're breathing in oxygen, right? Yeah. Breathing out carbon dioxide. The trees are taking just the opposite. So everybody's we're connected with everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you look at the sun, the temperature of the planet, you look at the atmosphere. Yeah, absolutely. I am on board with you. Yes. So if this body and the universe are not apart, then the body of the death of the body would mean the death of the universe. Let me repeat. If in fact the body, the human body, and the universe are not two, they're one field, let's say, one energetic field, then if we're talking about the death of the body, we must also be talking in the same line, in the same time, about the death of the universe. Okay, I'm on board, so fine. So the question is, when I'm talking about my death, I'm talking about the death of the universe. Okay, well, the universe is constantly in flux, and the body is constantly in flux. So the body, meaning the body and the universe as one, are constantly birthing and dying. If you take a gigantic microscope and take a look at the universe or take a look at the body, you'll be blown. You go, holy cow! It's like, look at all the stuff that's happening, right? You'd be dumbfounded by how much is happening. It's constantly in flux, constantly birthing and dying. Now, if by my death, I'm talking about the death of I, consciousness, now we're getting to the crux of the matter. Because that's really the concern. We don't care so much about the death of the body. It's a joke. We care about my death, the death of consciousness. The consciousness doesn't die. There is no birth to consciousness or death to consciousness or growth of consciousness or betterment of consciousness or a mold growing into consciousness. There are no such things. Which leaves us where in terms of the question about death? Have we covered all possibilities? Okay, so we understand that. Okay, maybe there are other possibilities, I don't know, but up to now it seems like, okay, we've covered all possibilities. What about the fact that I feel the fear? Okay, well, it's a different direction now. Why do I feel the fear? I'm not trying to say, let's negate the feeling. There's a feeling of, fear about death. To look into it. It makes sense. It makes sense to feel the fear when you're assuming that there is somebody hiding behind your house with a stick, a big stick, and they're waiting for you to come out and to hit you. It makes sense to feel the fear and to to take whatever action you want to take. Now the question is, in terms of the fear about death, what is it that we are afraid of? We're feeling we're afraid because we believe there is something that's going to happen to us. And it makes sense if something's going to happen to you, the body is wired to fear, fight, or flight, right? So it's normal for the body to be acting this way, getting ready to, fight, or flight, or whatever, freeze. But we need to look, so we look into that. We look into, okay, so the feeling is obviously connected with this belief. So we need to look into the belief. So it's connected, you say. The feeling and the belief there is somebody out there with a stick are connected. So we take a look. Take a look. The belief that something's going to happen to me. What do I mean by me? What do I mean by us? We go back to what we were examining before. And the feeling, you have to understand that the feeling is normal. It's normal to feel fear about death, as long as we still harbor some identity, I would say false identity, but it's I don't want to hurry to say false because we have to see it. We say otherwise we just going into a new belief. We have to see it. We have to see that in fact there are assumptions that we're making about consciousness. There are assumptions that we're making about the body, about a separate body. There are assumptions. So we need to take a look, you see. But in terms of the feeling about death, it's normal, the feeling of fear. So they work together, Sometimes it's very difficult to contemplate our beliefs when the emotions are too strong, because then we're like sort of wrapped up into the emotions. So we may need to sort of relax about the emotions. Say, okay, fine, the emotion is appearing within me, no problem. There is space, there is room for the emotions. You know what I mean? There is room. And there is room. It's not like those crowded jails, you know what I mean? So there's a big space for the emotions within us. So we can feel the emotion. Heck, feeling afraid and the heart is beating. All right, I can feel that. You can feel a dog can feel that. I don't know about the snail, but maybe even a snail can feel that. I don't know. So there is room for that feeling. It's not an issue. It's not a problem. So we can feel that. We welcome the feeling. We allow the feeling. There's no issue. But then we examine, contemplate, we examine. What assumptions am I making about myself, about the world, about the universe, about consciousness? You say.
Good stuff, Magdi. Thank you so much.
Okay, Frank.
Appreciate it.
Okay, be safe. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes. Any questions? Hello, Holger.
Hello, Magdi. When satsang started, it felt like that this is maybe the last satsang with you. And it's just interesting, this idea of dying is sometimes so strong in me, like, I don't even know what I want to say, but I'm happy to see you, and now things shifted and feel much different. And there's gratitude for knowing this Magdi character and the gift of listening to his soothing voice. And thank you for all the clarity.
It's always the last satsang, Holger.
Yeah. Wonderful.
And there is no end to satsang. There is no end to being, to presence, to the love.
There's still such an attachment to the form. I mean, there's such a familiarity and joy, and
because it's sweet and it's beautiful. It's a normal. It's an okay attachment. But in the big scheme of things, we are the love. The love is always available, and also we bring the love. We are maybe okay. Well, we are sort of messengers, God's messengers. We all are, not just nobody's special. I'm not saying there's something special about anybody, but maybe there's something special about everybody. So we bring the love. We are channels of love, you see. So in receiving, we're giving. We're receiving and giving. It's a flow. It's flowing through us, and we touch each other in a very deep way, at the heart level, at the love level, at the level where there's a sweet sadness in being together and loving each other. And we, that term, carry the flame. We come around the fire, and then we ignite. And we are that fire that ignites others. I know it's a relative way of speaking. Absolutely, it's a dualistic way of speaking, but there is something to it. Not at an egoic level, but it's God's doing. It's all God's doing. It's not a personal doing. It's being done through us, And That's the real connection. It's a silent, silent understanding. And then life is playful, joyful, friendly, not so serious. It's lovely to see you, Holger. Yes. Gisela, did I miss something at the beginning? Hello, Gisela.
Hi, Magdi.
Hello.
Because somebody said you are going to, there are no more satsangs. No, there will be satsang.
We don't know, do we? There are
We don't know.
no plans here for now. I feel comfortable with the sort of a shifting schedule for now.
Oh,
There are various things happening here that, but here we are meeting, and I believe there is also a schedule to meet next week. I haven't posted it yet, but I will.
oh. Mm. Oh, thank you for sharing. Mhm. Mm. Mm. A little sad and gratitude and sadness.
Sadness, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Somehow it's been a sadness throughout my life, most of my life.
Mm.
From being a young boy, some sort of sadness. I think that
Oh, thank
in this manifest realm, somehow I feel sadness is part of the beauty in a way.
Mm.
Not to overdo it, but
Mhm. It's also openness,
yes.
maybe.
You said the openness, yes?
The sadness, there's also an openness.
An
maybe,
openness,
in the
yes.
sadness. Mm.
Yes, sadness. Yes, absolutely. We cannot be sad when we are like an island unto ourselves.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But in connection, in relationship, in love, in life, there is sadness, the sadness of losing loved ones, and the sadness of friends seemingly on some level drifting apart. It's it's love in sadness. It's love. At least that's my experience of it. But not to wallow so much on it. I think it's okay to arises on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a universal sadness, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sort of sorrow about the condition, the human in the world.
Exactly.
The animals are innocent, but in a way, nobody's innocent.
Mm.
The animals in the ocean, their life, how disturbing their life is. But, this is only at a certain level, of course. We're speaking at a certain level. The level of manifestation is constant change. But we do feel sorry when we realize the orangutan, they're running out of territory to live and celebrate their orangutanhood.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we can use to a certain extent this we can maybe channel the sorrow to make it to energize our contemplation and our passion and love for truth and living, above all, living with the truth, living according to, that's above all, living how we live, how we speak, how we act, how we listen, how we interact with each other. Taking a look at that, not to be sort of always in our bubble, in our personal bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Take courage and step out. Reach out and be vulnerable, to be available for all of it, whichever way it appears to you. Whatever.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. The depth.
Mm. Not to be defending, not to be preoccupied with. To be available, but not to be preoccupied.
Mm.
To acknowledge yourself, meaning whatever is appearing to you within, feelings, thoughts, acknowledge, and invite yourself to recognize God's touch in everything, not to remain always in the personal spin, sort of be open to the infinite, invisible, the true breath, the universal breath, the breath of the universe, which is being breathed through us. It's being breathed through us. Shiva, who's attending right now, does some beautiful meditations during the week. Helpful. So we recognize the personal is an unnecessary add-on. And so we say, okay, we take courage in exploring, living, perceiving, thinking, being, acting, without the add-on. Meaning not to refer to the past or the future, to acknowledge the transparency of being, the reality of being, which is absolute. This moment, every moment, as my very self and the self of the universe, this one self. Okay, Lauren. Lovely to be with you and to see you, Lauren. Hello, Lisa. I see you raised your hand, did you? Or if you did.
Yes, I did.
Hello.
I did raise my hand. Hi, Magdi. I just wanted to get clarity on something that was said. Is this the last gathering that we're having together this evening?
No.
Okay. I mean, well, while I'm on, I just want to acknowledge just how grateful I am for you and these gatherings that we have. And I mean, I understand life happens and maybe the frequency may change, but I can't really, it's experiential. I can't really put into words the impact that being with you, and in particular, the meditations before the Q&A, have had on just my ability to move gracefully through the ever-changing experiences of life. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. I don't really have a question other than, is this the last time? You know. But I'm glad the answer was no to that. So thank you so much.
Yes, Lisa. Thank you. It's always lovely to be with you and to be with all of you.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Thank you for me as well, Magdi, for this very, very deep and touching meeting today. I really appreciate it, and I join everybody else. How immediate impact it does on life, how we are, and that we know that we are, is so close and intimate, and influence everything around us.
Yes.
So thank you again, Magdi. It's been absolutely beautiful and very heartfelt.
Yes.
Thank you.
I also want to express to all of you the same gratitude. It's very touching for me as well to be with all of you and each of you. Anything you share or just your presence and your being and the love that we are. I'm deeply grateful and touched.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, this is a very good note for us to. We never leave each other, right? We never do. So very lovely to be John. John, good to see you, John. Hey, Holger, Lisa, Nathan, Holly, Grace, Richard, Shiva, Marga,
Thank you.
Jenny, Gisela,
Thank you.
and let's see, Charlie. Yes, not my glasses. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Connecting.
Thank you.
Peace, everyone.